Deborah, today you're going to help us overcome our confidence or increase our confidence, overcome our self-sabotage, and help us get more visible. Interesting topic.
Happy to be back, Moreno, and it is a really important topic. So, shall we get right into it?
Why not? Let's do that. How's that?
Perfect. So, enhancing your confidence is a very big part of success in all areas of your life. I don't care what it is that we're focusing on, whether it is the relationships with the people in our immediate family, whether it's the people in our career, our business, our profession, whether it's our capabilities of whether we think we can run the business, entertain a new hobby or a new interest or excel at any particular area of our life. Confidence is a huge part of it. It's really what really makes or breaks the success of our life and our ability to be able to move forward. And the key part of that is that we do overcome self-sabotage in the process of developing confidence. And also the opposite works as well. As you are navigating through the process of overcoming self-sabotage, which is all mindset process, then we naturally develop the confidence to be able to step into what it is that we need to do. And so what's your thoughts on that, Moreno?
That everything is in the head and it can all be controlled. It's in our hands. We just need to get hold of our thoughts and manage them appropriately so that we don't sabotage ourselves, but instead give ourselves confidence and make sure that when we are visible, we are showing our confidence and not the times when we are sabotaging ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, really, a lot of what we're focusing on, you and I specifically in these LinkedIn lives, is the concept of being visible and getting visible. And that also happens in workplace environments, whether we're entrepreneurs trying to enhance the visibility of our business and developing the reputation of the business, or whether we're trying to be a leader and we want to be more visible in that particular area as well. So let's move into the next slide here, Moreno, because there are times that we feel like this withered up thing that just we're dying inside. I mean, literally, when it comes to making attempts to be successful in a specific area of our life, we actually feel like we're just giving it our all. And that in essence, we feel like we're just dying because the very best part of who we are just doesn't seem to be showing up. So, when we're children, when we're little children, before we develop this mindset of I can't do it, before we sort of instill fears in our mindset, before we start the process of judging ourselves and sabotaging ourselves, we have this great beauty, this great essence, the natural beauty and essence of who we are. But then over time, we end up sabotaging that. And sometimes it is sabotaged by our environment that we're in. When we're young, we often can't control the environment that we're in or the people that are around us. But we feel like there's a part of us that is just like, it's not shining as bright. It's not illuminated as brightly. It's not just presenting ourselves until we feel like we're just dying inside. So, Moreno, have you ever felt like that?
Often. And that's why it's so very important, Deborah, that we have the appropriate filters in place, because it is all those things that come into us, that get through into our brains, that affect how we see the world, how we interpret the world, and then how we end up feeling.
Right.
We need to let in the right stuff, the good stuff.
Yeah, it does. We really hurt the very best parts of who we are, and we don't allow that to come forward. So let's talk about this really important question, because in life, we really need to know what's stopping us. And we need to be able to answer this question and to have a great deal of clarity around this concept, because there are things that we know that we need to do. We know that we should be doing certain things, and we even know that we want to do certain things. We have great desires. We want certain results, or we want to achieve certain goals. We want something a little bit different, because our essence is that we grow and we develop. That's the essence of who we are, It's a natural state that we grow and develop. But we stop ourselves, we hold ourselves back in this process. Understanding that this question needs to be asked on a regular basis and answered is a really important process of moving forward and getting some really extraordinary results. Because often that the idea of stopping ourselves, we're just literally burying our heads in our hands going, "Ugh, this is frustrating. How do we move forward in this process?" And the idea of hiding, we hide ourselves, we're buried, we feel this sense of great defeat inside of ourselves. This is the part that we need to move through quickly. This state, by the way, of burying your head in your hands and feeling defeated is an emotional state that is triggered by a thought process. And it's like putting a hand on a hot stove. If you don't recognize it immediately, that continued thought process and staying in that particular mindset, that emotional state, is only going to make things worse. You've got to be able to recognize it and move out of it really, really quickly. So let's talk about another part which leads to a lot of problems is really what could be stopping us or holding us back could be confusion. And it could be confusion about the direction that we're going, the results that we want to get, how we're coming across or conveying, communication strategies, navigating how we navigate resources, confusion about technology. Because anytime we want to get visible, anytime we want to reach certain people, especially online or in social media, if we're not clear about the process, we're not clear about the technology and the methods of marketing that we're going to be using, if there's a great deal of confusion, that's what's going to stop us right in our tracks. Real hardcore stop, hand against the wall, bam, you're down and you're out. So you have to be able to recognize that immediately to be able to move forward. So what would be some of the strategies that you get out of confusion, Moreno?
This is a very important point that you've raised, Deborah, because we need to have clarity. A decision cannot be made when things are not clear, when there is confusion.
Right.
And we feel a sense of serenity, calmness, when we can see and understand everything around us. One of the ways to do that is to slow down, not rush, and take in what is around us. Take the time to see the flowers and smell the flowers. Understand what is happening around you. Pay attention to the things that are important to you. And forget about the other things that don't apply to you, the other things that tend to pull a person down. It's in our control. We need to focus on those elements that support us, that are in line with our thinking, that help us on our journey towards the goals that we want to achieve. There's a lot of clutter. There is a lot of black stuff out there, which we have the power to avoid, not focus on. And that is one way to feel good about ourselves, Deborah.
Yeah, absolutely. You're bang on about that, Moreno. The whole aspect of confusion really does affect the moment that you're confused about anything and you don't have the clarity of the direction, you immediately lack the confidence. And so it's going to stop you from moving forward and getting the results that you want. So when time becomes in essence, when the productivity and the time crunch is right there, this is where we feel the greatest amount of stress and the greatest amount of overwhelm. And we have an inability to access the right side of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, where we do our thinking, planning, logic, innovation, creativity. So we are really hurting ourselves and the productivity and the results that we're getting. So the overwhelm is a really huge part of this. You and I had just recently talked about this, that the overwhelm, where there's too much to do, there's all these different moving pieces when you're trying to complete a project. And you got to be able to recognize, am I feeling overwhelmed in the moment? And that's the moment where you need to kind of pause and center your mind. and maybe do some mental fitness exercises to be able to calm yourself, breathing exercises. And then you've got to be able to ask for help in the process. So this is a huge part of moving forward in life, is you've got to be able to recognize the overwhelm, how it shows up in your breathing, how it shows up in your body, where you're actually feeling it in your body, the overwhelm, and then recognizing the state of fog and confusion that's in your brain, where you feel like you're unable to think really clearly and you're not calm in the process. So this is where you really need to ask for help, and you need to be able to reach out. The other part of this, I'm just trying to advance my slides here. Hang on. There we go. Oh, other way. Is the lack of confidence is one of those things that's going to be stopping us from moving forward and getting the results that we want. And people think, oh yeah, you know what? I'm pretty confident in a certain area. But in essence, if you are not getting the results that you're wanting, what you can recognize is that it is a lack of confidence in a certain area, that you're not really moving forward in a really bold, brilliant way in life. So where do you start in this process? Because a lot of people go, you know what, I am overwhelmed, I'm confused, I don't really know what to do, I lack this clarity, I lack the confidence. Well, where am I going to start in the process to get some great results, to be able to move forward? And being able to answer that question of going, okay, I need to pull back, stop, and I need to pull back and sort of do a reassessment or a reevaluation of the landscape, and to know, where is it that I need to start? In other words, what I've tried, what's worked, what hasn't worked, but where do I start now? It's almost like starting from scratch. You're kind of recentering and then starting fresh. It's like you put yesterday to bed, you finished it. You might have a certain list of things to do today, but then sometimes something happens, you get thrown in a wrench or something unforeseen happens, and you need to pull back and you go, okay, I'm going to recenter and I'm going to restart the process. Where do I start now in order to attain the types of goals that I want to be able to attain? So again, it's moving out of this confusion state of this absolute overwhelm. And to be able to move forward confidently, to be able to be visible online, you got to know who you are as a person. And, this is a big part of business. People really do not know who they are, how they're being in this particular state, how they want to show up, and what is required as an individual inside, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, relationally. How do you show up in the very best version of you to get what it is that you want, to attain the goals that you want, the visibility, the perspective, the relationships that you want with other people? You have to define who you are, and then you really have to work on diminishing the worst parts of who you are, and really accelerating and developing the very best parts, the very best essence of who you are as an individual. So there's another question that comes to play that becomes really important, and this is really, who do you want to be? And this is an important question. But I also need people to understand the very best part of who you are right now. You are enough, and you are good enough and deserving right where you are right now. And when we are also looking at stepping into leadership, when we're also looking at developing business and scaling the business, growing the business, the idea is that we are going to have to do things differently to get different results. So you have to ask this question: who do I want to be? If you want to be a person who's running a different type of business, if you want to scale, if you want to be a person who is in an influential position, if you want to be a thought leader, you have to show up in an entirely different way to be able to get those kinds of results with people. So this question needs to be answered. Who do you need to be to acquire those kinds of results? I mean, I go way back 30 plus years before I met my husband, when I wrote down the lists of what I wanted in a partner. And I took it to my parents. I read it out to them. We both kind of looked at each other and said, you're going to have to lower your standards. And I kind of paused, and I took a deep breath, and I said, well, I'm not going to lower my standards. But the epiphany that I had in that moment on my drive home was, okay, who do I need to be to attract that person into my life? This is a very important question. Even Jim Rohn said, success is not to be pursued. It is to be attracted by the person you become. Success is not to be pursued, it is to be attracted by the person you become. When you become that person, it's like the frequency from a quantum physics point of view, you naturally attract those people, circumstances, and events that fit with who you are as a person. So if you're not attracting on the outside world what it is that you want, then I can promise you the mindset isn't in the right place. The confidence isn't in the right place. Who you are being in this moment is not in the right place to be able to attract and get the results that you're wanting. So the next question is, who are you? You are who you decide to become. This choice in this process, we get this choice. This is the beautiful part of life and mind and spirit and soul, is that we get to choose and decide who we want to become. Nobody else controls that. And you can either decide to be this bold, fierce human being who fights for what you believe in, for your principles. And we see that right now in Ukraine. We get to stand up for what it is that we believe in, fiercely and proudly, confidently and boldly in this process. So you get to decide who you're going to be in any given moment for whatever experience you're going to have. These are tough places to move into, and it requires a lot of mental resolve and developing your mental fitness to be able to move into this area. And then you have to believe in the person you want to become, because you get to choose, but the belief process is a big part of this. So share with me some of your comments about that, Moreno.
Deborah, I hear you're referring to the person that you want to become all the time. And that is most important, because the person that we need to be is the captain. We need to know who we are and where we are going. In other words, we need to know where we are now and where we want to go. And we need to have a map. And with all this, it's very important to keep things simple, because the moment that things become complicated, they become confusing. And when things are complicated and confusing, then we begin to forget who we are, where we are going, what we are meant to be doing, what our responsibilities are. And with all this, we are sabotaging ourselves. We don't have the confidence to move forward, and we don't have the confidence to attract other people who we need to help us move forward, who will help us grow, achieve what we need to achieve. We need other people to help us help others. And that's why we need to be the captain in charge of our ship and keep things simple, manageable, so we know what is going on. To make progress, we don't need to focus on too many things. We just need to focus on the bare essentials, on the important parts that maintain clarity and help us move forward step by step. Baby steps. There's no need to rush. There's no need to be in a hurry. Things get done sequentially, each part in turn. And that way, other people who are in our team, who help us along, they too see clarity and will help us move forward. Because if we are confused, most certainly those around us will be confused as well. And when they feel that way, they will move away, Deborah.
Yeah, you share a lot of really good points there. We have this calling inside of us to move in a certain direction. And whatever that calling might be, when you step into who you really want to become, certain people are going to come into our sphere of influence and help us navigate through that process. And often you need really strong people around you that can think the same as you, but also think differently from you, to be able to go, look, I'm having a challenge in a certain area. What are your thoughts? What are your perspectives? And allowing them the opportunity to share and give insight and to be able to share some ideas. I mean, you and I do a lot of collaboration together. And what I find is that we come up with all these really great ideas. Some of them work, some of them don't. But we, just before this video had just started, we were talking about an idea that you had presented about planning well in advance in a process that actually added great value to how you and I were navigating some of these projects together. So you got to gain the insight of other people that are around us, not, and it's important we rely on our own thinking, but it is really important to take in the insights and the perspectives of other people around us, because they have different life experiences, different perspectives that can offer great value to us. The idea of listening and surrounding ourselves with those resources, those people around us, becomes critically important if we're going to scale and grow in an organization. It demands that we step up and ask way more of ourselves, and this means that we need to be the very best version of who we are. So and this is a calling. This is a natural calling for us to want to be better as people, but only if our values and our principles are in the right place. Because you can do great harm and you can escalate and grow and do great harm to other people intentionally, or you can do great things, offer great value, support, and encouragement to other people to feed them and to develop them. So a lot of it comes from our mindset, but great character and values in that process as to how we support and develop the other people around us. So I'm going to talk a little bit about a couple of the things that happen inside of our head where we sabotage. We have, for example, and there's several saboteurs that we can personally judge. For instance, we judge ourselves, other people, circumstances, and events around us. But one of the saboteurs is the restless, constantly in search of greater excitement in the next activity or constant busyness. They're rarely at peace and content with the current activity that they're doing. They're always doing things and doing and doing and doing. And some of you out there, watching this, you may very well recognize this sort of character inside of you. The other one is the avoider. And this is a big part. This is the avoider, the procrastinator. You want to do great things, but you stop yourself from doing them. And that inner sabotage needs to be overcome for you to be successful and develop great confidence and to get visible. So you're focusing on the positive, the pleasant in an extreme way, but you're avoiding difficult and unpleasant tasks and conflicts. But listen, a lot of times we're avoiding perceived difficulty, perceived unpleasant tasks, because we're choosing not to make it exciting or fun or interesting. Then there's the hyperachiever, dependent on constant performance. We see this in a lot of corporations, people in business, where they're striving and striving and they're working hard. They work the incredibly long hours right through the weekends. So they're dependent on constant performance and achievement for self-respect and self-validation. If they're not achieving something, they don't feel good about themselves. And that is a form of self-sabotage, because we don't feel confident unless we are striving and achieving, rather than valuing who we are in the moment. And their latest achievement is quickly discounted, and then they need more. And they're always thinking, what's next? What's next? What's next? And then there's the hypervigilant, continuously intense anxiety about all the dangers and what could go wrong, the vigilance that can never rest. And they're saying, will it work? Well, what if it fails? What if it doesn't work? So they stop themselves in the process. So all these, and there's a number of other saboteurs that we have that we name that affect how we think properly and move forward confidently. One of the big things, of course, is conquering your fears. We have these inner voices in our head, and those fears often have come from when childhood and moving up, and from past events or circumstances that didn't work out, relationships that didn't work out. So this lack of confidence, of overcoming these fears, is a necessary process and doable. That's the thing. Conquering your fears is absolutely doable to be able to move forward. And so the idea is we've got to move in this direction of developing confidence in our life, and that is entirely possible as well. One of the ways that we're doing this is teaching the process of how to be visible online in baby steps and with a lot of hand holding, so that you can feel confident in the process, knowing that somebody's got your back in the process of being visible or getting on camera or doing a LinkedIn Live, this is a very important process. So the development of confidence requires that you step out, but again, it's doing it in stages so that you feel good about being visible rather than being fearful in the process of being visible. And you have to have this willingness to want to promote yourself. I mean, this is the essence of marketing, is you're promoting yourself, but you're promoting the benefits that people are going to get by working with you. You are the solution. You're promoting the very best of what people can accomplish and become by working with you as an individual in the marketing process. So this becomes important. If you don't promote yourself and you don't share what it is that you can do for other people and how you help other people, the business isn't going to be known. And this becomes the reputation of the company and the organization. It's not about bragging, it's about being confident about the results that you can get when you're moving forward. And so, in essence, it's a simple process. We make it way too complicated. But what we do is we simplify the process of helping you to become way more visible in the world. So, I'm going to share a couple points here about here's how we actually strengthen the mindset to reach your prosperity potential. Because, in essence, when you become confident, when you strengthen your mental muscles, when you are developing your mental fitness, what happens is that now the potential for you to be prosperous in all areas of your life, with relationships, in business, in the bank account, in your health and your fitness, your physical fitness, all these things become possible. So the first step, of course, is releasing the mental and emotional obstacles. And we teach the process of how to be able to do this. We help you to increase your self confidence and your self worth. We eliminate the fear, the guilt, and shame that you might have been holding on to. And even subconsciously, you might have been holding on to it. We help you to eliminate the self doubt process. We change the obstacles into gifts and opportunities. And then you have this ability to enjoy a life of peace and a life of happiness. That is the process that we take people through. And this is an essential process for you to be able to navigate and get the very most out of life. And really, what this is an invitation to master the inner game of self. And it really all starts with you. Where you need to put your focus and attention is on developing you as an individual. Everything else falls into place after that. When you put your attention outside of yourself rather than developing the skill set inside, the thought process, the confidence, the willingness, the intention, all those things inside of you, if you fail to do that first, these things out here are not going to work very well. So you have to learn to master that inner game of self. That becomes really important. So we ultimately end up taking all of that, all of the fears and the limitations that we've placed on ourselves, and we turn it into action. We start, as you had mentioned, Marina, we start with the baby steps and moving forward. And those baby steps develop naturally the confidence. And again, it's the hand holding process to make sure that we've got your back. We've got we're giving you the support that you need in the process. Because ultimately, here's the thing, you deserve what action brings. So it's the action that makes all the difference. And the action is what moves you closer to your goals and what it is that you want to achieve and who you want to become. So you deserve the very best of what life has to offer you. And it is time that you put yourself in the place where you are willing to receive and the sense of deserving that it is my time now. I need to step up and I need to show the world what I have to offer. And you know what? The world's just going to love me in the process. So you got to make the decision. Then you have to commit, and then that's where success comes in. And of course, everybody has a different definition of success in the process. That's the end of the PowerPoint there, Moreno. But certainly it gives us an opportunity to kind of sum up some of the principles. So do share from your points of view some of those concepts and ideas.
Deborah, I love your sequence of practical, doable steps. They are simple, they make a lot of sense, and it's just a matter of taking action. Never fear. I know that it's easier said than done. It's a mindset, and we have complete control over it. What we fear is often imaginary. It's said that at least 9 out of 10 fears never materialize. We need to be self-confident, and move ahead believing in ourselves, and not try and do everything ourselves. Delegate, help other people, and in turn, they will help us. No person is an island unto himself. People work together. We are meant to work together and help one another. At this point, I want to point out that on the 29th of March, Deborah and I are having a webinar where we help people get online live. It's all about being seen, where people can see and hear us in many places, often. And it's many people fear public speaking, appearing in front of an audience. And that fear is a figment of the imagination. Most people who take action and get in front of people very soon get over that fear and start building confidence and get better and better at it, to a point where some people feel that they've lost something when they stop doing it. They feel a need to constantly appear in front of an audience and help them. It's all about helping people, helping one another. In the comments, I've put a link in there. Go there, click on the link, register for the webinar, and we will see you on the 29th of March in about 2 weeks' time, Deborah.
It's going to be an exciting event, I think, on the 29th there. So lots of good content and material. So listen, if it's encouraging you now to want to step out and to be visible, to be able to develop some of these skills in mastering your mental fitness, I'm going to drop a link into the chat in LinkedIn there, where you can book a call with me and we can have a conversation, and totally free, complimentary, and to see where we can make some shifts for you to be able to move you confidently forward. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Deborah. You've shared some very important stuff to keep us mentally sane. To your good health. Bye-bye.